Sometimes life moves so fast that we forget to stop and breathe. We forget to look at ourselves the way we look at the people we care about. But right now, in this moment, I want you to slow down because I made this message only for you. Yeah, you, not the world, not the noise, not the expectations, just you. You have this light inside you, this softness, this strength, this quiet kind of beauty that maybe you don't always notice. But I see it. And I want you to see it too. You deserve to feel loved, to feel supported, to feel like your existence actually matters, because it does, more than you know. So if you're carrying something heavy, if you're tired, if you're questioning your worth, let me tell you something gently, honestly, lovingly. You're still here, and that means something. It means everything. And this message, this moment, is my way of reminding you that you're not alone. You never were, and you don't have to be. So let's begin. This is for you, only you. I made this message only for you because sometimes a person like you goes through life giving so much, caring so deeply, and carrying things quietly, and no one ever stops to say, hey, you matter. I see you. So I'm saying it now, softly, honestly, just for you. I don't know what kind of storms you've faced recently. Maybe you've been holding too many thoughts, too many emotions, trying to make sense of things that feel heavy on your heart. Maybe you've been giving others pieces of yourself while forgetting that you too deserve the same gentleness you offer to the world. But right here, right now, I want you to feel something different. I want you to feel seen. I want you to feel understood in a way that doesn't demand effort from you, a way that lets you loosen your shoulders, unclench your thoughts, and simply exist without judgment. Because this moment, this message, this connection, it's all for you. You are not just passing through life, you are shaping it with every breath, every choice, every quiet act of kindness that you think goes unnoticed. And maybe you've been wondering if you're enough, or if you're doing right, or if you've made mistakes that define you. But listen closely. Your worth isn't something you must earn, it's something you already carry within you. There is something beautiful about the way you try, about the way you keep going even when the world gets heavy, about the way your heart still hopes, still cares, still believes in something better, even when you're tired. That kind of strength is rare. That kind of heart is precious. And I want you to remember that you don't always need to be strong for everyone. You deserve softness. You deserve warmth. You deserve someone who looks at you and says, rest. I've got you. So let this message be that moment. Let it be the quiet hand on your shoulder. Let it be the reminder that you, in all your complexity and imperfection, are deeply, quietly, profoundly enough. If you've been doubting yourself, I want you to take a breath. Feel it settle inside you. Feel the truth of it. You're allowed to be human. You're allowed to feel. You're allowed to not have everything figured out yet. Nothing about you is too much. Nothing about you is too little. You are exactly what you're meant to be in this moment of your life. And I made this message only for you because sometimes a person doesn't need the whole world. They just need one honest voice telling them that they matter. And you do. You matter. You matter more than you've been told, more than you realize, more than you're willing to believe. On the days when your heart feels heavy, you deserve love that doesn't make you shrink. You deserve connection that feels safe. You deserve moments that remind you of your own beauty, the one you forget you carry. And if no one has said it to you in a while, let me say it now, quietly, sincerely. You are worth caring for. You are worth choosing. You are worth loving. And maybe this message won't solve everything. Maybe it won't erase the pain you felt or the doubts that occasionally visit your mind. But if it can remind you, even for a moment, that you're not alone, then I've done what I came here to do. So keep going, not because you have to, but because there is something in you, something gentle, something brave, something real that deserves to see what tomorrow brings. And every step you take, every moment you're still here, is proof that your story isn't done yet. This message is only for you because you are the one who needed to hear it, and I'm glad you're here to receive it. When we talk about adding emotional depth from a loving perspective, we're really talking about something far more intimate than most people realize. Emotional depth isn't just about saying beautiful words or expressing feelings in a poetic way. It's about reaching into the quiet space inside someone, where their uncertainties live, where their hopes rest, where their hidden aches pulse softly beneath the surface. It's about speaking to the part of a person that doesn't always know how to speak back, the part that has been waiting for someone to understand without being asked, the part that has learned to stay silent because silence felt safer than risking being unseen. A loving perspective is never hurried. It doesn't rush through emotion or skip over what hurts. It doesn't judge the way your heart feels or how long it takes you to process what you've been through. Love listens without needing to fix, holds without needing to control, speaks without needing to dominate. It's patient in a way that feels like warmth on chilled skin, slow and quiet but powerful in its presence. So when emotional depth is combined with genuine love, what emerges is a language that doesn't require perfection, a connection that doesn't need performance, a tenderness that doesn't ask you to shrink or hide. You've lived enough life to know what heaviness feels like. You've carried days where your chest felt tighter than your breath could reach. You've walked through moments that nobody understood, moments you didn't know how to explain, even if you tried. And when love speaks from emotional depth, it sees that. It notices the sigh you didn't let out, the tears you held back because it didn't feel like the right time to unravel, the strength you displayed on the outside while the inside of you trembled quietly. Love sees the version of you that wakes up tired but still chooses to try, the version of you that still shows up even when you don't feel brave. Emotional depth respects that kind of perseverance. It doesn't belittle it or overlook it. There's a kind of beauty in the way you move through the world, even in the moments when you don't feel beautiful at all. Not physical beauty, though you have that too, but a deeper beauty, the kind made of resilience, empathy, and the courage to feel again after disappointment has passed through you. Emotional depth acknowledges the strength it takes to keep loving when parts of you have been bruised. It acknowledges the tenderness you've kept alive despite hardship. It sees the way you care too much sometimes, and the way you pretend to care less so you won't be hurt. It sees the way you long for connection yet protect yourself from it. Love sees that contradiction, that tension inside you, and instead of trying to correct it, love simply understands. Love doesn't need you to be flawless. Emotional depth from a loving perspective means knowing that your imperfections are part of your story, not something to erase. It means recognizing that the things you call flaws are often the same things that make you real, relatable, and human. The way you doubt yourself sometimes, the way you feel deeply, the way your heart softens for people even when you promise yourself it won't, the way you try to hold everything together even when you're tired. This is emotional reality, not weakness. And from a loving point of view, reality is far more valuable than perfection ever could be. Sometimes, emotional depth means slowing down enough to feel the moment you're in. It means breathing instead of rushing, observing instead of reacting, allowing instead of resisting. When love guides that depth, it becomes a gentle invitation rather than a demand. It tells you that you are allowed to feel without explaining yourself. You're allowed to take up space without apologizing. You're allowed to need comfort without calling yourself needy. You're allowed to have emotions without feeling like they're burdensome. Emotional depth is the reminder that your heart doesn't have to earn the right to be held with care. You've probably spent a lot of time being strong for others. You've held people together even when you felt like you were falling apart. You've been a source of comfort, a listening ear, a steady presence. And you may not realize it, but that takes an incredible amount of emotional courage. Love sees that effort. It acknowledges the times you gave more than you received. It sees the way you try to be okay for the people who depend on you. And emotional depth wants something for you in return. Not a reward, but a restoration. It wants you to receive the softness you've worked so hard to give. It wants someone to finally tell you that you deserve to rest too. You deserve to be supported too. You deserve to be understood on the days when you have no strength left to explain. A loving perspective also brings attention to the silent battles you've fought, the ones nobody knows about because you carried them privately, the nights when your thoughts were loud, when sleep wouldn't come, when the world felt too heavy and your own mind felt unfamiliar. Emotional depth honors those nights. It honors the courage it took for you to make it to morning. It honors the way you kept going even when you weren't sure how. Love doesn't minimize those battles. It doesn't compare them to others. It doesn't tell you they were easy or that you should just get over it. Instead, love sees those battles as proof of your endurance, your hope, your ability to continue, even when the world felt dim. Emotional depth from love is also about recognizing in your capacity for hope, even if you're tired, even if you're guarded, even if part of you feels worn down. There is still a piece of you that wants something better. Maybe you don't talk about it, maybe you hide it, maybe you convince yourself you've stopped hoping, but your heart still leans toward light, toward connection, toward meaning. That's not a small thing. That's not something everyone has. Some people lose hope entirely, but you haven't. You might feel it flicker, fade, or dim now and then, but it never disappears. Emotional depth notices that flicker and treats it like a precious flame, gentle, quiet, but alive. The loving perspective sees how much love you still have to give, even if you've been careful with it. It sees the tenderness in you that hasn't been extinguished. It sees the softness that you hide, because softness has been misunderstood or taken advantage of in the past. It sees your sensitivity as a gift, not a flaw. Emotional depth allows you to stop apologizing for caring. It allows you to embrace the parts of you that feel deeply, think deeply, love deeply, fear deeply. It allows you to love without turning yourself into something smaller or quieter. It allows you to be whole. There is also something incredibly emotional about the way you long for connection, even if you deny it, even if you pretend you're okay on your own, even if you've learned to rely on yourself because others haven't always been reliable. The truth is that your heart is not closed. It has simply learned to be careful. Emotional depth respects that caution. It doesn't push you to open before you're ready. It doesn't rush your healing. It doesn't demand trust, it earns it. Love understands that trust is a fragile thing, built slowly, woven through consistency and presence and honesty. It knows that telling someone to just trust is meaningless. Trust grows. It doesn't arrive. And a loving perspective doesn't celebrate your scars because of pain. It celebrates them because they show where you chose healing over bitterness, where you chose to keep your humanity intact, even when the world tried to harden you. It knows you've been through things that could have turned you cold, but instead you became compassionate. It knows you've been through moments that could have made you closed off, but somewhere deep inside you, you remained open. Emotional depth honors that openness. It honors the fact that staying soft in a harsh world is not easy, yet here you are, still capable of gentleness. Love, when it speaks deeply, speaks without masks, and it invites you to do the same. It invites you to be honest, not with the world, but with yourself, to acknowledge your needs without guilt, to admit when you're tired without shame, to accept comfort without feeling like you're burdening someone. Emotional depth makes room for your truth. It makes room for your complexity. It makes room for the version of you that is still figuring things out. It makes room for your past, your present, and even the parts of your future you can't see yet. A loving perspective sees you not as someone who needs to be fixed, but as someone who deserves to be understood. It sees your emotions as meaningful, not dramatic. It sees your fears as human, not weaknesses. It sees your dreams as valid, not unrealistic. Emotional depth gives you permission to feel everything without overthinking whether you should. It reminds you that your emotions are not obligations. They're signals, guides, reflections of what matters to you. And love listens to those signals. It doesn't push them away. It doesn't silence them. It lets them exist. Love knows you have moments when you question your worth, when you wonder if you're enough, when you look at your life and think you should be further along or stronger or happier or more put together. Emotional depth wraps its arms around those thoughts and tells you gently that worth isn't measured by success or perfection or constant confidence. Worth exists because you exist. Your existence alone is enough reason for love to stay, for connection to grow, for hope to continue. A loving perspective isn't blind to your flaws or mistakes. It sees them clearly but doesn't define you by them. It knows you've said things you regret, done things you wish you could undo, trusted people who didn't deserve it, lost parts of yourself trying to please others. Emotional depth acknowledges all of that without judgment. It sees those moments as part of your growth, not a mark against your value. It knows you're learning, evolving, changing, growing, and it stays beside you through that growth instead of expecting you to already be perfect. Sometimes emotional depth also means holding the parts of you that haven't healed yet, the parts that still flinch at certain memories, the parts that still feel tender when touched, the parts that still carry old fears or old disappointments. Love doesn't rush those parts. It doesn't shame them for needing more time. It simply holds them with patience. It gives them space. It lets them breathe. Emotional depth means understanding that healing is ongoing and nonlinear, and love is something that can support you through all stages of it. When love speaks from emotional depth, it isn't just telling you that you matter, it's showing you in the tone, in the patience, in the presence, in the sincerity. It doesn't need to prove itself, it simply is. And you deserve to feel that kind of love, the kind that doesn't require effort to receive, the kind that accepts you fully and gently. A loving perspective looks at you and sees everything you've been too humbled to acknowledge: your courage, your heart, your softness, your resilience, your willingness to try again, your ability to feel deeply even after being hurt. Emotional depth sees all of that and recognizes it as beauty, not the temporary kind, not the conditional kind, but the kind that is woven into your soul. And when love speaks from that place, from that depth, it speaks to remind you that you are worthy of everything you've ever given to others. You are worthy of tenderness. You are worthy of understanding. You are worthy of rest. You are worthy of being chosen with intention. You are worthy of love that stays not because it has to, but because it sees something extraordinary in you, something honest, something that makes your presence in this world meaningful beyond measure. That is emotional depth from a loving perspective.